Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's so great to have you here. My name is Una, and on this channel I talk about everything to do with stress management, my anxiety journey and anxiety management, and how to achieve your wonderful dreams without compromising your physical and emotional health. So if it is your first time here, then welcome, and if you're coming back, then welcome back. So before we get stuck in, I would love it if you do like this video to hit the thumbs up button and hit the subscribe, and if you have anything that you want to comment or anything that you want to know more about, do feel free to comment in the video below as well. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how I personally deal with my stress as a high achiever, as an entrepreneur and a digital nomad. I mean, obviously at the moment there is not a lot of nomading given the current state of the world, but I still thought it would be good to talk about these three things, as in the future I do plan on leading a nomadic lifestyle, and maybe some of you do as well. So a couple of things I wanted to talk about first. So I will be sharing things that I personally do, and while some of these things are definitely applicable to most people, I'm a firm believer in we are all biochemically individual and we are all different. So these things may work for you, they may not. And if you do want something that's more personalized, which is what I would recommend if you're looking for something more long term, then feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to give you a more personalized approach to your own stress management, depending on your lifestyle, your biochemistry, etc. So if you want to reach out to me, I actually have my LinkedIn in the description box, so you can connect with me on LinkedIn, or you can even comment on the video below. All right, so first thing I do is I actually plan and set an intention behind what I'm doing. So I think it's very, very important to have an intention behind all of your actions. So whether that's a work action or even something in your personal life, to make sure that you have an intention behind this action, right? So why are you doing this? Essentially, why are you doing this? Right, so think about that. So what I like to do is actually plan out my year. So say, okay, what are the intentions that I would like to experience these years? So this might be how I want to feel. So for example, in 2022, some of the things I really want to experience are inner peace, contentment, harmony, and success. So then based on those words, I figure out, okay, what are the actions I need to take in order to fulfill those intentions? And then based on that, when am I going to do those actions? So I actually plan a lot. I'm not saying you need to do this, but personally, I really enjoy planning a lot. So I actually plan out my year. I plan out each quarter, each month, and most importantly, each week. So I know when I wake up in the morning what I'm going to be doing that day. Because I found that before, something that really used to stress me out was just not knowing what I was doing, not feeling productive, not feeling like I was going somewhere or that I had a direction, because I was just doing these activities and I didn't really see how they fit into my overall vision, my overall purpose and values, right? So that's the first thing I do. So practically how I do that is I typically sit down with my calendar, I look at the days, I look at what I want to do, and I look at when I'm going to do them. So obviously, things can change. So you don't want to be too rigid with your planning. You don't want to just, calculate out, and I made this mistake in the beginning, calculate out every single minute of the day and just say, okay, I'm going to do this then, I'm going to do this then, because obviously things change, right? So you want to allow a buffer, allow space, but just having an overarching idea of when you are going to do these things can be really helpful. To also see, and I think this is a big thing here, and I probably will make a whole other video around time management and energy management, but you want to actually see, these are the amount of hours in the day, these are the things I want to do, what can I actually realistically fit in my day given the amount of hours in the day? Because time is not flexible. There is a finite amount of minutes and hours in a day, whereas what we can want to do is infinite, right? So we have to make sure that we're actually being realistic with our time, because so many of us, and this is something that I've had myself so many times, I see it time and time again with my clients, is people say, oh, I just never have time to do these things. And then I ask them what they're doing. They list all the things they're doing. And the problem isn't that they're not being productive, that they're procrastinating or anything like that. It's literally that what they've attempted to do doesn't fit in their day. right? Another thing that this can really do is help save on time, because if you're spending all this time thinking about, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to cook? Where am I going to go? What am I doing now? And if you don't have an intention behind it, you can waste a ton of time that way. And then something that can stress me out as a high achiever is not feeling like I have an intention, so just feeling like I'm not being productive. And I will talk about how, you know, just feeling like you're being productive isn't a great thing necessarily, but, you know, it does help me to have a structure. So that's just from a personal note, it does help me to have a structure. So that's the first thing that I would really recommend. And if you would like more guidance onto how to actually plan and how to actually manage your energy, let me know in the comments and I can make a video about that. So that is the first thing, right? The second thing, and this one, everyone needs this, right, is to get enough sleep. So exactly how much sleep you will need will depend on you, your unique biochemistry, things like that. But the good rule of thumb, or the average amount of sleep people need, is around 7.5 hours. Although some people thrive really well on like 6 hours, other people thrive really well on 8 hours or even 8.5 hours. So you would have to see exactly what the optimum amount of sleep needs to be for you. And I could even make a video if you're interested on how to actually figure out your sleep cycles, things like that. But to make sure this video isn't, 20 hours long, just to kind of get to the point, the main thing is sleep is so important, right? This is something that you should prioritize. Sleep is like the most important thing for your physical health. Pretty much is sleep and drinking water, right? So in terms of sleep, you want to make sure that you're getting enough of it. You want to make sure that the quality of your sleep is high, so that you're sleeping in an environment where you sleep at least mostly through the night. Most of us will have to get up a couple of times to use the bathroom, right? But you don't want to be only sleeping for half an hour at a time, because over time that can impact your physical health, it can impact your overall mood, it can make you more stressed, it can cause inflammation in your body, which further makes stress grow in your body. So one of the best things you can do for stress is just make sure that you're sleeping enough. And that leads me on to my next point, which is drinking enough water. So I think pretty much in every single video, I will talk about drinking enough water when it comes to stress management, because if your body is dehydrated, you are going to feel like crap. It doesn't matter how much meditation you're doing, how much freaking yoga you're doing, all of that. If you're not drinking enough water, you're going to feel like crap. It doesn't matter how much broccoli you're eating, you're still going to feel like crap. So if you take one thing from this video, it would be sleep enough, drink enough water. I know it sounds really simple, but actually our body is such a fantastic mechanism. It can do so much to grow for itself, but if it doesn't have the right fuel for it to thrive, then it's not going to thrive. That's it, basically. So making sure you drink enough water. So the recommended amount of water is 2 liters per day, around 2 to 3 liters, but let's just say a minimum of 2 liters, which is around 8 glasses, 8 cups of water like this. So if you're just having water, or if you're just having cups of tea, that won't be enough, because basically when you heat up water, it removes a lot of the properties from water that actually hydrate you, such as electrolytes. So you want to make sure that you're drinking like not freezing cold water, but just not boiled water all the time, because that does hydrate you, but not as much as proper mineral water does. So drinking around 8 glasses a day, and things like coffee and tea don't count, especially if it's like black tea, because they have basically properties in them that are diuretic, which means they make you pee. So they actually dehydrate you, and the same with coffee. So I'm not going to get into a whole discussion about coffee and tea here, but just making sure you drink enough water is a good start. And then for some people, drinking coffee is good for you. For some people, it isn't. Right. So for me personally, I found that drinking coffee isn't good for me, unfortunately, even though I love the taste. So that kind of brings me on to my next point, which is finding out your personalized, or like what basically is good for you, your unique biochemistry, your lifestyle, your personal health history, and what conditions you might have. So when it comes to nutrition, it's completely personalized. So there is no rule of thumb of you need to eat this to manage your stress, or you need to eat this to manage your stress. That's something you really need to work on with a nutritional therapist or a dietitian to figure out what actually might be the right thing for you. And this is really, really important. And I know it's something that people think it's not so intuitive, feel like, okay, there must be a right way to eat. But as someone who's studied a lot about nutrition, I can just tell you now that there isn't the right way to do things. It has to fit you personally for so many reasons, not just from a biochemical or a nutritional level, but also because if you have a great food plan, but you don't have time or it doesn't fit your life, you're not going to do it. So how is that helping you, right? So I do think this point is super, super important. And I think it's something that's worthwhile investing in. So that brings me to my next point, which is regular movement. Now, again, the type of movement you do will depend hugely on you, what works for you personally. I personally love doing something that's quite vigorous. I love punching things, so I actually do like a kick fit workout once a week. And then I also I go to a personal trainer actually with my whole family every Friday morning, and we do a combination of strength and things like that. So those workouts are tailored towards my body, my needs. You know, I have like an injury in my shoulder, which I need to work on, things like that. So again, you'd want to make sure that you're tailoring it to your personal needs, as well as I really enjoy just like going for walks in nature. I find that really relaxes me just to, you know, I take my music out, I just listen to the sounds, close my eyes, breathe, and just take some quiet time. I find that really helps with dealing with stress. And then the next point, and this is where I think entrepreneur, digital nomad comes in, is the environment. So the environment that you live in, and this is either, you know, your external, we'll talk about your external environment first, is so, so, so important. So you want to make sure that the environment you're in is conducive to thriving. So if you're living in a place, or if you're working in a place that's really, really negative, it's going to cause you stress, right? Because it's a stressful situation. So, you know, and I know the world is kind of shifting a lot more of us are working from home, which on the one hand is wonderful because maybe we don't have to deal with a cubicle, we don't have to have all the noise around us every day. But on the other hand, maybe our home is way more stressful than the office. It really depends on your personal situation. I personally work from home, and I have done for, I think since the beginning of 2020, so just before the pandemic, I've been working from home, and I absolutely love it. I've also done a little bit of traveling, not as much as I would normally like to do, but given, you know, the situation with the pandemic. But I have worked in a few different places to experience that as well. And I found a couple of things. So the first thing is, while I do love traveling, and I do love being a digital nomad, in terms of productivity and in terms of dealing with stress, it can sometimes not be the best thing, because the environment will not be like what you're used to at home. It might be more noisy. There might not be the same, you know, things available to you. So you have to make sure that you plan for the fact that actually, if you're moving around and if you're nomadic, then your environment will be shifting, and sometimes it will be better than others. And that's something in terms of your workflow and in terms of what you're doing to plan for that. So for example, if I'm going somewhere, I make sure that I try to not do too many things that require, like, say, really good internet or require a very peaceful environment. And I try and plan things that are more administrative tasks, or working on bigger projects that are more I can do from my laptop and sit anywhere. And then when I'm doing things like recording videos and doing Zoom calls, working with clients, I try to do that when I'm at home. So that's what I do, just to kind of plan my day around my environment rather than just trying to adapt to the environment. So that's something that's really helped me with managing my stress, because before, when I was actually studying, so I did all of my studies online, even before COVID. Who knew it was a thing, right? So I actually did my diploma online, and at that time I was traveling back and forth from the Netherlands to Ireland. I was going to Nepal, India, and it was so stressful because I would sometimes have class at like midnight. I would have to do presentations. I'd have to stay really awake. In Nepal, it's so loud. There's just dogs barking constantly. You know, I love Nepal, but yeah, it is a very loud place. So I think that's something to just factor in and bear in mind, is some situations might be more stressful than others, and to kind of make sure that you prepare for that. Another thing when you're being nomadic is to make sure that you're factoring in the travel time, the energy that's required to travel, as well as all the elements required around travel. So at the moment, there's a lot to think about. For example, do you have all the right documents to go to the different countries? What if something happens and my plane gets cancelled? So you have to make sure to factor in that around the journey. For example, I went to visit my husband's family in Norway back in November. It was kind of a last minute trip, but we decided to do it because we haven't seen them in over 2 years. And on the way back, at the last moment, they actually changed the regulations with the travel. So we ended up being trapped in the UK. We couldn't leave the airport because we would have to quarantine, and it was very stressful. And so I was so happy that I made sure to plan for that, so that I didn't have, like a ton of meetings booked in on the day we were supposed to arrive, and that I could really take that time to rest and rejuvenate and nourish myself. Right, so that now brings me on to my next point, which is doing activities that nourish you. So I think a big thing about stress management, it's not just about reducing the stress that you have, but making sure that you're not always in situations that stress you out can really help, right? So if you can do things that really nourish you. So for me personally, my camera ran out of storage. That's so funny. Anyway, I'll just come back to what I was saying, which is for me personally, the activities that really nourish me are things like surfing, even though I am terrible at it, but I'm learning, and it's so much fun to just get out there, get in the water, especially in the freezing cold Irish water in the summer. In the winter, I would never dare. In the summer, getting into that water is just amazing. I also really enjoy swimming, and actually there has been numerous studies done on actually how swimming in fresh cold water can really benefit your health, can help combat depression, things like that. So I love it, and I find it really boosts my mood and generally my energy. So I would highly recommend for those of you who enjoy things like that. As well as I just really enjoy spending time with my loved ones, with my family, with my husband and my friends. And this is something that I just really enjoy doing. So with the pandemic, obviously meeting up in person has, been challenging. I haven't always been able to do that. So, doing things like just having a phone call. I find a phone call, I actually prefer that to a Zoom, just because I spend so much of my day on Zoom that, just having a phone call while going for a walk with my friends really, really helps. So those activities. So now moving on to the internal environment, and I think this is something I really wanted to share about as well, is just the value of investing in your personal growth and in your physical health and wellness. So for me, I personally invest most of my money into that because I feel that your health and well-being and longevity is the most important thing. Whether or not you're actually happy and doing well, I think that's the most important thing to me. So I invest a lot of money into that because I believe that we need to be happy, but also we need to live well. And also taking care of your health, if you take care of it, then you don't have to take care when you're ill. So if there's a saying that goes, if you don't take care of your wellness, you'll have to take care of your illness. Or if you don't make time for your wellness, you'll have to make time for your illness. That's it. So that's something I really believe in. So I work with a life coach. I have worked with a therapist in the past. I also work with different experts to help me with my health, with my own personal conditions. So that's something that I would really recommend. And again, I think the expert that you should work with really depends on you and what exactly you need. So something that I would really recommend using, which is actually one of my projects that I'm working on, is we have a global register of different experts in different fields of well-being. So if you go onto our website, which I will link, it's called www.wearebionetra.com/directory. You will find actually a list of experts who all are wonderful at doing what they do in whatever area you might need support in, whether it's you need a therapist to overcome your trauma, whether you need a nutritionist to help you with your gut health, or whether you need a life coach to help you with your time management, or maybe a life coach to help you with managing your stress and anxiety, like me. So I highly recommend that you check that out if that's something that you're interested in knowing more about. I obviously help people who struggle with stress and anxiety. I work mostly with high achievers because I am obviously a recovering high achiever myself, so I can really identify with the struggle of never feeling good enough. And yeah, just never feeling satisfied and content. So if you feel that I resonate with you, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn, like I said before. So moving on, and I think this is something that's really important, is to make sure that your internal environment is optimum. So this might be by working with an expert, but also just making sure that you're creating that space in your mind. And this brings me to meditation. That camera ran out of storage as well. Fun times. Anyway, we will get through this video. So what I was talking about there was meditation, and how meditation definitely helps with managing stress. However, it's not the one size fits all solution, and you need to make sure that you do it every day for at least 5 minutes. So meditating once isn't going to solve all of your stress issues. And like I've mentioned previously in this video, if you're in a negative environment, it's really hard to heal that. So you want to make sure that you are implementing all these different things. So this is something that you do in conjunction with the other things. I won't go into depth on how to meditate, that's something for another video, but one last thing I wanted to talk about, which is something that has really personally helped me, is gratitude practice. So I personally do gratitude practice every day. It's honestly something I can say that's really helped me through my depression, through some of the darkest points in my life, honestly. And it really helps with managing stress, just to realize actually all of the wonderful opportunities that I have in my life. And I think it's personal to you again. So I actually have recorded a video of how to, or it might be down here, I'll show you, it's pointing at things, on how to use gratitude practice to reduce stress and anxiety. So if you're curious to know more about gratitude practice, then go ahead and watch that video. And with that, I just wanted to say thank you for sticking it through till the end. I really appreciate you, every single one of you who watch these videos. It means the world to me. I hope this was valuable. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, if you want to be notified of future videos, I post them every week, then feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you are notified when I upload my next video. All right, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon.